Rashi Suri, you were here. You guys can just nod. You don't have to write on chat or anything. Okay. So today we are working on a very different, so it's not just legal. We are talking about what is beyond legal that is required in the field when it comes to being successful in the legal fraternity. So nowadays, as we can, very easily understand that it's one of the prospects is yes, you are good at your skill, but what is the other thing that is very, very important? Internet has been a boom since centuries. It seems like it has been a boom since centuries now because I cannot think of a time when we survived without internet. But legal industry has, has not utilized the boom that came with the online industry till very recently. And legal tech became a very, very popular word at this point of time. And that is the reason that we are here to talk about why legal tech has become such an important aspect. Okay, and that is hence the title for today. So we are going to have multiple legal sessions, yes, then and now, but one of the most important thing why you guys are available, why you guys are here today with the student discovery platform itself is how the online platforms have become invincible when it comes to any professional industry nowadays, especially legal, and why legal tech itself is innumerable in today's time. So we have Himanshu here. Himanshu just joined the session, and I think I'm going to give a small introduction, and we're going to move ahead with the topic in hand with us, guys. I'm going to give you a small introduction of hope that you guys have done a little bit of your homework and you guys know who Himanshu is, but still I'm going to give a little bit. Result-oriented, decisive leader and a persuasive communicator with exceptional relationship management skills and a knack for identifying market, industry, consumer needs. Himanshu seamlessly combines his successful corporate domain and technology expertise to the exciting growth story of Lloyd. He's the CEO of Lloyd. His strengths lies in the field of products from ideation to execution. He has brought up Lloyd as a baby. Since all these years, we have been part of Lloyd. He has over 21 years of diverse experience in managing technical and commercial functions, roles including last 13 years exclusively in legal tech domain, serving the legal fraternity. His experience is at innovation, product development, and commercial execution. He's done everything. Keeping customers' needs paramount. And that is why we are here today, trying to understand a little more with somebody who has seen the industry very closely, especially legal tech, because of his experience. You're going to know in a little bit more time of his experience in the legal tech background itself. So Himanshu, I'm going to drop the mic and we are going to shift to you. So let's discuss with Himanshu what does it take for being in the legal tech field.
Thank you so much, Purnima. That was quite an elaborate introduction. I was surprised who you are talking about, but thank you for the kind words. Guys, I hope you can see and hear me aloud. Just ping. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. So, okay, a couple of elements in case you could not make out anything from what Purnima said about me. So, I'm Himanshu Gupta, co-founder and CEO at Lloyd. Apart from what I've done, I am the first and foremost thing is, guys, you will be surprised that I'm not a lawyer though. I did my graduation in computer science and then management from IIM Calcutta. 21 years of experience working for various MNCs. And as Purnima also mentioned, that 13 years have been in the legal ecosystem. Having worked with companies like LexisNexis, I've gained experience in the legal tech field. Started Lloyd Just to give you background, what Lloyd does, Lloyd is a legal tech discovery platform which helps legal professionals in their online and offline outreach. Why only legal professionals? Why not law students? That is where we have recently launched our student discovery platform exclusively for the law students in the country. So while I understand that the webinar experience has been primarily because of COVID-19 lockdown, and we are all getting used to this new normal, I would try to make this session as interesting as possible. I'll keep on asking you a few questions, and you can respond in the chat window, just to see how many of you are awake after a heavy lunch. All right. So first question that I have is, I mean, all of you guys are budding lawyers, right? So what are the core needs of a lawyer? I mean, you are all budding professionals, legal professionals who want to start your own legal practice or work in a law firm. What are the core needs of a lawyer? Understanding the law, Amol Kale says, and then legal knowledge. What else? Command over laws and language, listening, patience, drafting. What else? Is that all? I mean, is that all that a lawyer, core needs of a lawyer? Due diligence, correlation, confidence, comm skills, okay. What else? Legal knowledge and good skills to understand client. Networking skills. Rishabh Khattar says networking skills, good. Strategic skills, interpersonal skills. Connect with legal fraternity. Yes. Logical and legal reasoning. You guys have to think aloud, out of the box. You guys are smart law students, guys. Okay, so there have been a lot of messages. Let me just wear a thinking cap, wear a hat of a legal professional, and understand that you are into your own practice. The core needs, as per the survey that we conducted of any legal professional, are attaining more clients. So when you are into your own legal practice, or you are litigating, or you're working in a law firm, the biggest or the first core need of any lawyer is attaining more clients. Generating more business is the number two. Save time, increase productivity, and last but not the least is more visibility. As you all know, in our country and in most Commonwealth nation earlier, advertisement is not permitted because law is a very noble profession. That being said, there is a lot of strong need. There is a strong need on visibility. How does a legal professional make himself visible? So I repeat, so the core needs of a legal professional are clients, business, save time, increase productivity, and more visibility. So these are effectively the top 5 core needs of any lawyer. Okay, let's talk about law students. So you guys are all in different years of your school, of your in college, in your institutes. What are the core needs of a law student? So whether you are in first year, second year, third year, fourth year, or fifth year, what are your core needs? Just help me understand. Let me see what you guys think. A good researcher. So as a student, I mean, when you want to get into a practice, learning from experienced people, aptitude of law, convincing, logical thinkers, creative, good internships. Okay, so that's a very direct need. I like that. So internship, of course, it's one of the core need of a lawyer, of a law student. Mock courts, okay. Thirst for knowledge, I believe that it is getting quenched from your law college itself. Diverse internships. Seminars, okay, that's a good one. Webinars, moot courts. Okay, let me just summarize all this for you guys. So the core needs of a law student is obviously the legal knowledge is the first, because in this 3-year or 5-year course, whatever you are doing, you need to attain good concepts of legal knowledge, experience through internships. So these are the things that college mandates you. They impart you legal knowledge, then they mandate you to appear for internships in every semester. So approximately 6 to 10 internships, depending upon the curriculum that you have enrolled yourself. Then is networking. Networking is the key. Mentorship. I mean, you need to get a very good mentor. Not everybody is capable to have a good guiding light that can help them in their future. Higher visibility, and obviously jobs and work after. So visibility is something that I see that is not being thought about. I mean, when I asked you about your core needs, nobody mentioned visibility. Do you know how important it is to be visible? Do you know how many law colleges are there in the country? Over 1,400 law colleges. In every college, they could be, I mean, in every year, they could be about 1 lakh odd students. So approximately there must be about 5 lakh students every year. So if you don't stand out, if you don't make yourself visible, so everybody is getting similar kind of legal knowledge. Everybody is doing internship in one institute or one law firm or under one different set of lawyers in different areas of law. Until and unless you stand out of the crowd, you stand out of the competition, how do you think you are going to sustain for the longer term? So that's going to be the theme of our talk today. And the topic that we have chosen today is why law students should be legal tech ready. But before I embark into our discussion, I would like to clarify that do not confuse with legal tech as technology law. So technology law, cyber law, corporate law, all these are different areas of law. We are not going to talk about how you can learn about technology law or cyber law. We are going to discuss how important it is, the use of technology in any areas of law. That's where you guys need to think upon and focus and train yourself for whatever remaining part of your education or your time in is left in the college. Okay, so technology throughout history. So I mean, let me give you some insights about how legal tech is transforming the global landscape. So technology throughout history has transformed our lives and has played the role of catalyst of change. You will always agree that no business or industry has remained unaffected by the digital revolution and the internet age. I mean, if you roll back for a few years, you will see that every time frame, there have been new advent of technology, which has been embraced by all of us, and it has given really, really positive changes in our lifestyle. However, you would be surprised that for the longest time, legal industry has been averse to adapt to the technological calling. I have been in this legal industry, legal tech industry per se, for the last 13 years, and I can vouch for it that the legal industry is the slowest adapter of technology. As per me, this unwillingness can be attributed largely to the fact, and you would agree to it, largely to the fact that the creation and application of law has always been seen to be a matter of reaching consensus through dialogue, where technology hardly has any role to play. But the traditional conservative field of law is now changing, and the legal tech has transformed from merely being a buzzword to becoming the future of law. Yeah. Let me share another insight with you. Let me share an experiment that was conducted by a very well-known artificial intelligence platform. I believe all of you know what artificial intelligence is. Any yes, any no? Somebody who does not know what artificial intelligence is? Yeah, I'm sure you must have watched a lot of Hollywood movies, and now obviously Bollywood movies also have references to artificial intelligence. So yeah, so it's more or less, people say that it's an adaptation that we have adapted from the Western world. Somebody does mention no. Okay, so artificial intelligence, while I will not be talking much about what artificial intelligence is, but this is the newest of form of technology that is being adapted into various types of lifestyles. And it also is also being introduced into legal fraternity. So there was an experiment I was talking about, which was conducted by a well-known legal artificial intelligence platform, where 20 experienced lawyers were pitted against an AI trained program to evaluate legal contracts. I mean, you know that there are different types. One of the basic tasks is to evaluate legal contracts for various types of legal errors. Yeah. Any idea who won the competition and by what margin of accuracy? Yes, of course, AI. So no points for guessing though. So AI won by achieving an accuracy of 95%, while the lawyers achieved an average accuracy of 85%. So there was not much difference as far as the accuracy rate is concerned, where AI platform provided us 95% of accuracy. But the most surprising factor was the AI program completed this task in barely 26 seconds, while the human lawyers took 92 minutes on average. Can you believe it? Although this experiment proved to be an eye-catching headline, it is not the only way legal tech is challenging the norm. Yeah. So there are different areas where legal tech is being used. In high volume areas like contract management, e-discovery, and legal search, legal tech is already standardizing, automating, and productizing what were once labor-intensive tasks performed by lawyers at law firms. Okay, let me ask you a question. You know that lawyers in a law firm or any legal practice where they're working for different clients, they have to clock the billable hours, the number of hours in a day which can be billed to the client. What is the average percentage of the workday spent on billable tasks by a lawyer? I repeat, on an average, what percent of the workday of a lawyer is spent on billable tasks? No, let's take that. I'm talking about the percentage. So out of 8 hours of billable, 8 hours of billable day, so what percentage of billable hours is actually spent in, is actually billed to the client? 70%, 90%, 85%, 90, 85. Some says 40, 30, 50. So numbers rolling up. So majority says over 70%. Okay. You will be surprised that a recently published report showed that the lawyers are spending only 2.3 hours on billable tasks out of the 8-hour workday. So this accounts for less than 30%. Where does the rest of the time go? The rest of the time is spent on administrative tasks and retaining clients. So this is so much of loss that a lawyer is investing his time on administrative tasks and retaining clients, which he could have probably used in billing, and hence attaining more clients and generating more business. In such a scenario, the advent of technology in practice management for lawyers seems less of a choice and more of a necessity. Are you guys understanding how the technology is changing the global landscape, legal landscape? Now, how is this legal fraternity responding to this technological calling? So we talked about experiment, we talked about various tests and surveys that were conducted. Now, these are all old facts. How is the legal fraternity responding to this technological calling? Law firms are quickly realizing the value of legal tech and are trying to adapt. Some have even started generating significant revenue by coming up with their own niche client-facing apps and tools, thereby increasing the billable hours. More firms than ever are now signing up for due diligence tools, which are helping them get more accurate results as far as due diligence is concerned. Smart contracts, property and financial transactions, intellectual property registry, all of these will be powered by blockchain in the future. I'm sure you must have heard about the buzzword blockchain as well. AI is also being adapted to create solutions which are a hybrid of technology with traditional face-to-face lawyer-client contact. Okay, so artificial intelligence is slowly creeping into the traditional face-to-face lawyer-client contact as well. All this would vastly increase the efficiency of lawyers through predictive electronic discovery, intelligent legal research, and automated document preparation. So if you can just read between the lines, so all the labor-intensive tasks, all the administrative tasks, all these are the initial areas where legal tech is creeping into our world. So as technology automates such large chunks of the tasks, which are usually assigned to junior lawyers, it would give rise to a more linear structure of a law firm, which would be a shift from traditional pyramidal structure. While all this sounds so fascinating and interesting, it is not a distant dream. Things have already started to happen in various nooks and corners of the world, including India. You would see many of the law firms are adopting this are moving away from traditional pyramidal structure to a more flat structure now. While this sounds interesting and fascinating, it's scary as well, isn't it? Well, let's talk about, does this have any negative implications for jobs in the legal industry? We are talking about AI and all these technologies taking away paralegal tasks, contracts, labor-intensive works. So does this actually have any negative implications for the jobs in the legal industry? There have been several concerns among the legal fraternity regarding how these advanced technologies would render the lawyers useless. So this is very scary. But the reality is that technology is still a long way off from replicating the people skills, social awareness, and intuition required to make a good lawyer. Guys, this is something very, very important for you to know, that technology is still a long way off from replicating the people skills, social awareness, and intuition required to make a good lawyer. Where the technology cannot get in is the area where you guys have to invest your time and your efforts. The only thing that it would do is it would make their job more efficient. For example, having the artificial intelligence platform do a first review of an NDA would be much like having a paralegal doing a spot check. This would free up valuable time for lawyers to focus on client counseling and other high-value work. Former Supreme Court Judge, Honorable Mr. Justice A.K. Sikri was right in stating that artificial intelligence will be augmenting lawyers' capabilities, but cannot take the place of a lawyer, as advocacy is a matter of emotions and human empathy. Thus, the fear of lawyers becoming obsolete are absolutely unfounded. So while I'm talking about the technology calling and how it is important for law firms and lawyers to adopt, accept, and start using the technology, at the same time, there are certain areas which obviously will be overtaken by technology, but the areas which requires people skills, social awareness, intuition, which are required to make a good lawyer, their technology is still a way long way off. Okay. So while most of these legal tech tools are helping in increasing productivity and saving valuable time of a legal professionals, so we have already spoken about it, very few are helping them in increasing their business and clientele through long-term sustainable solutions. So if you circle back to what we started our discussion with, the core needs of a lawyer, his core needs includes attaining more clients, generating more business, and saving time, increasing productivity, and more visibility. While we have spoken about all these tools helping a lawyer to save his time and increasing his productivity, but very few focus on increasing his visibility or giving him opportunities for generating more business and increasing his clientele. So this is another area which legal tech is transforming, is how we find lawyers. So I don't think so I need to explain this anymore, because with the population of internet users crossing the 4.5 billion mark in 2020, showing a 7% growth year on year, consumer demands through internet is driving big changes in the way we find lawyers. While we are using internet to find a restaurant, find anything that we need even people who need legal advice are also searching on internet to find lawyers. Although in the past, the businesses and individuals found lawyers through personal connections or word of mouth. However, personal referrals can be as inefficient in law as in any other industry, as your network might not know the right fitment of lawyer for you. This is where online platforms like Lawyered are adding value. So the platforms like us are solving the core needs of legal professionals, such as increasing clientele, generating more business, and higher visibility across the geographies. Let me take a pause here and ask you another question. What do you want to do after finishing your law college? So my question is, after you finish your law college, what do you want to do? What do you want to pursue? Judiciary, practice, work in an NGO, litigation, joining a law firm, corporate law, corporate practice, law firm, trademarks law, litigation, entrepreneurship. Fantastic. Mohak says join Lawyered. Okay. Connect us after offline. Okay. Corporate mediator, corporate law. Okay. So mostly you all want to either get into your own practice, or you want to join a law firm in a different areas of law, or some of you also want to get into judiciary, or become an AOR. So more or less get into hardcore practice. I saw one response where somebody said entrepreneurship, I really want to applaud. Good. So that kind of thoughts are really good and healthy for the growth of our legal industry. Fantastic. So, okay, so more or less you want to apply your legal knowledge to solve issues. Now, we've been talking so much about how the technology has changed the global landscape and how law firms are accepting, and what if they don't accept it? What are the areas which a lawyer should be focusing on? So what can law students do? Right. So that's a basic question that everybody's thinking, that now in this 5 years of your course, what you should focus on. You're already going through the 10 semester or 6 semester course, and there's so many hardcore books that you have to go through, memorize, and then after 5 years, suddenly you don't want to land up in a situation where you come out of your college and see that the entire industry has changed. What you learned is no more required. So what should a law students do? So first and foremost is understand the basics and understand them well. Law graduates should be able to use Word, Outlook, Excel, and PowerPoint to a sophisticated level. Can you use formulas, references, macros, and pivot tables? Maybe. Everybody claims they can do these things, but few can really do so. So believe you me, so these are the most used tools in any practice, whether you are working under a lawyer, or you are litigating, or you are working in a firm, or you join any publishing house or any technology company. You need to know these Word, Outlook, Excel, and PowerPoint to the best. You should be able, number two, you should be able to use search engines. Well, I mean, I'm sure many of you will say that, okay, that's not a big deal. You Google, I mean, almost 100, 200 times throughout the day. And when you're doing your research work, you use Google very often. But are you including advanced search, Boolean operators? Do you know how to discern between good and bad results? That's where you will be standing ahead of your competition. Everybody use Google, but how to use it effectively is something that will make you stand apart. Number three, you should be able to use research tools. So there are so many multinational companies which have come up in India, plus our own homegrown companies, which are investing heavily trying to digitize content for you guys to make your research work better. So gone are the days when the entire intellect of case law and legislation used to reside in the brain. Well, Einstein says, why should I memorize anything which I can easily find? Well, I partially agree to it, but That's what that's what the theory is all about. Now there are so many research tools. How comfortable are you using these research tools like LexisNexis, Manupatra, SEC Online, LexBuddy, Universal Law, for case law, legislation, and maybe commentaries? How comfortable are you? Once in practice, believe you me, you don't want to spend hours and hours researching a point and accumulating a large spend unnecessarily. When you are working on a particular matter, you will be expected to give results on research in no time. And in your institute, in your college, in the 5 years, you can't completely cram the entire case law history, can you? And then apply the research? No, you can't. So these are the tools that will help you. So you have to start using these tools effectively. I'm sure your colleges must have your own library. Spend as much time as possible in using these kinds of tools. Trust me, this knowledge combined with an understanding of technology is at least as important as legal knowledge. Please understand that the legal knowledge is not the only thing that will take you ahead. It is the understanding of all these technology also equally responsible, equally necessary. What else can law students do? Attending legal hackathons in your area would be useful. Are you aware of what legal hackathons are? If not, you should search more about it. You should understand what legal hackathons are. Okay? These are increasingly common and a good way to learn from industry insiders, network, and collaborate with students in another department. Participating in moot courts and other related campaigns and competitions are equally important. So there are many ways you can work on learning more about legal tech. And there are many resources as online training tools that can build your knowledge of legal tech as well, which I can discuss and share with you offline too. The point is, I would like to clearly summarize this: build your knowledge outside of the class, guys. Apart from what you learn in your institute, invest time in gaining additional knowledge through various online and offline courses. So these are the things that will make you different from your competition. Gain practical experience. Understand how legal knowledge is applied to solve real life legal issues through online, offline internships. Now, with this, because of this COVID-19 lockdown, everybody is trying to figure out ways by which things can be done online, which includes internships as well. Participate in competitions and campaigns. Networking is the key differentiator. Moot court competition, all these things will help you in gaining practical experience. Expose yourself to legal tech tools. Understand how various tools are used to do effective research work or are used to reduce the time spent on administrative tasks. Believe you me, if I'm a partner of a law firm and if I have a choice to select between 10 students, I would pick those who who have learned about all these elements in their college itself. And last but not the least, which is mostly underrated, undermined, is investing in your digital footprint. What do I mean by digital footprint? How would people know? So to answer this question, how would people know if I'm a law student? How would people know about Himanshu Gupta as a law student? What I've done in these past few years, until and unless I share my CV with them, which keeps on changing. So if you have shared a CV with a law firm partner on X date, and maybe after a year you have added more values to it, so how would he know that, okay, Himanshu Gupta has done something better? Whatever you do, keep building the digital footprint that will help you outshine your competition. That's all I wanted to say. Before I throw it open for question and answer session, I would like to answer a few questions that have been submitted online some time ago. So I would like to take them one by one. I'm not sure if the person who submitted the question is part of this session. Kshitij Kothari, he said that what are the possible options of getting in touch with the legal tech world? Well, the first and foremost is I must appreciate that you have taken the right step by registering with Student Discovery platform as Lloyd. So through consistent ways, we will try to help you introduce with the legal tech word by various ways, by various means. So your participation is necessary and the benefit is absolutely yours. Okay. Arshit Srivastava asked the question that people have little knowledge about the sources they can use for online study, like a lot of certificate courses, but which one is really credible and worth the money? Guys, start slow. I don't recommend any of these platforms. I'm not saying that one is better, other is bad. All are equally good. So you have to start somewhere. I mean, when I say somewhere, start investing in a small bit. Do not go for the top most expensive one right away. We can suggest you few courses during the due course of time of your subscription, of your membership with us, and will help you get benefits also through our association, through your association with Lloyd. And would strongly suggest that select the courses where your passion lies. If you like courses in cyber law, or if you're passionate about cyber law, invest in cyber law. Do not worry about that I will learn about cyber law in second, third, or fourth, or fifth year. It is always good to get additional knowledge beyond your college too. There is a little advertisement about legal tech. Yes, true. There are not many platforms which are gung-ho like us to get students aware about legal tech and promote it. Students remain unknown of these opportunities. They can catch up online, hence which platform to follow for this. Stay tuned with Lloyd, Student Discovery platform. We will give you a lot of insights how you can make yourself tech savvy. Internship and job opportunities, well, that's our ultimate aim that you guys have. I mean, obviously every law student wants to get internships and the best of the institute, best of the firm, and also thereby landing in a job. How I look at it, internship are just a window for you to understand what you may like, what you may not like, right? So you have to expose yourself to all sorts of internships, online and offline. Now with the advent of technology, it's not just those 1 or 2 months of internship when you can contribute. I'll be shortly sharing with you what we are planning to introduce to you guys. So apart from your regular college classes also, you can contribute and improve or increase your knowledge by participating continuously. Okay, another question from Mr. Ujjwal Gupta is, as technology is growing, what are the advantages of tech in the legal system of India? I've already talked about it. Okay, so that's pretty much that I had from the platform. Maybe I would request Sahil if he can pick up few questions with interest of time.
Thank you so much, sir, for really great insights. And it was an amazing session. So yeah, we have received a bit of questions. So I'll start with some interesting questions. So one question is, law and finance are connected in various ways. How can fintech and legal tech can be integrated or can be beneficial for lawyers?
How can fintech and legal tech be connected?
Can be beneficial for lawyers.
See, fintech is a domain. Okay, so legal tech is acceptance of technology in the legal industry. And so that governs all, okay? Once you have understanding of applying legal tech, it can be applied to any of the domains, whether it is financial, whether it is cyber law, or it is any other domain itself. So when you have to get into a fintech domain, you have to understand about the finance laws. Yeah. When you have to get into cyber law or cyber tech, you have to understand about the cyber laws. While you will be applying your legal knowledge in any of these industry, if you know the horizontal legal tech, you will be very easily able to understand how a particular area of law and the technology, associated technology, connect together. So understand that legal tech is a horizontal and all these areas of law are connected with it. So fintech along with legal tech, of course, cyber tech, and then many more.
Thank you so much, sir. So there are a few questions in the discuss section on the article received. So there's one question. I'm by Kavya. I'm a fourth year student from a traditional university. We don't get a lot of opportunities to get placements or internships from the college side. So how a student should manage to build network of his own, and I'm a first generation law kid. Is there any way that Lloyd is going to help these kind of students for their future career? If yes, how to go about it?
Well, I think that's a pretty much common question. As I said, that we have about 1,400 plus law colleges in the country. There are only about 20 plus, 25 plus NLUs in the country. Yeah, rest all these colleges are tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities, and uh, uh, as you rightly said, Kavya, that not many get opportunities of internship, maybe in their choice of college. So that is where Lloyd's student discovery platform is going to break the barriers. Okay, so we are going to give you a platform. It's up to you how you want to utilize it. You will be given opportunities to perform. You will be given opportunities to make yourself visible by participating in various stuff. So whenever there is a call for a competition or a campaign or any networking opportunities, throw yourself open. You may not need to travel. You, while sitting in your own city, while working in the day shift for your college, you can still contribute and enhance your knowledge by connecting with legal luminaries. That is how we want to provide equal opportunities to every single law student in the country. But it all depends upon, it all depends upon how much enthusiasm you have, how much zeal you have, and how much willingness you guys have. We can only bring water to you. You want to drink it, or you want to take a bath, or you want to just kick it out. It's all up to you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really, really helpful, I'm sure. So there are very much known faces of me in the webinar today. So one of the known faces has asked the question. But sir, everyone keeps telling that cyber laws keeps on changing and becomes obsolete too very soon. Is this true? I mean, the concept shall remain same. Only the provisions may get updated. Many faculties suggest cyber law field is not feasible in India and demotivates the law students.
Well, I think the expert, cyber law expert, should be able to better comment on it. The only thing that I feel is that slowly, as we have more and more advancement of technology in the country, there will be laws which will be changed. There will be certain areas of law which will be more prone to changes, and there will be some which are less prone. Believe you me, wherever there is the laws or the areas of law which are more prone to changes, you guys stand a chance to prove yourself. Why? Because when a law is changing, you will be the one who will be quickly adapting to it, as compared to someone who has about 20 or 30 years of experience and he knows about the erstwhile maybe cyber law, and suddenly law changes. So you guys are going to be the torch bearer in those areas of law as well, because you can quickly adapt to it. So do not worry about laws changing every now and then. The most important factor that you guys need to know is you need to stay tuned to the changes that are happening. Okay, if you do not network, if you do not participate, or if you are not investing in your legal awareness, you are bound to get obsolete.
Thank you so much, sir. This is one question. As being a first year law student, how can I be on the right track to have knowledge and be always aware of the opportunities?
Yeah. So again, so this is a similar question that I answered earlier. So I mean, so the whole idea of starting student discovery platform is to provide you opportunities where you can keep yourself ahead of competition. Visibility is the key thing, or discovery is the key thing that we are going to address for you. and we are going to provide you opportunities where you can make yourself better. Research, research, research. That's the key thing that you guys need to work upon. There are plenty of tools available in the market. Time to time, as we work closely, we can suggest you some of the tools that you can start with. But you have to use these technology tools to invest in. I mean, for example, in this particular case, doing research. There are many tools. Yeah.
Right, sir. Sir, I'll take one last question from here. So, why do we need to learn the technology ourselves when we can hire a specialist and we can devote that time in our core work?
Well, I would put it's the right answer. You are not supposed to code. You can hire a tech expert who can make your own website. You can hire a tech expert who can make a program for you. But who is going to use that program? Are you only going to read the books and talk and give the legal opinions? Is that all? Or will you be able to? So a tech can create a wonderful research tool for you. For example, LexisNexis or Manupatra or SCC Online. Those tech experts, along with some of the legal minds, have prepared a wonderful research tools, which gives you a quick analysis. You search about a particular judgment, it will give you the entire history of the judgment, whether it was accepted or it was rejected, and or various case signals as well. But until and unless you know how to use that tool, do you think you will be successful? Or do you think you have that acumen to memorize all the cases that have been in the history of India so far? And what was the treatment with all those cases? Because all these elements are necessary, because as we are moving, there's so much dependency of cases already. Who's going to solve that? You guys are going to solve that. While you are not expected to learn programming, coding, or building a website, how to improve your SEO and all that stuff. No, that is not required. You are only required to use these tools, get yourself exposed to these legal tech tools as much as possible during these years. So when you're working in an internship, you should understand what all the tools the firm is using. Or from your friends, or even in this student discovery platform, you can understand what kind of tools you have to expose yourself to. So that is the technology understanding you guys need to have. Apart from that, everything else that can be done by technology expert.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I would like to take this question. Reason behind this is the question I asked you from the very initial day I joined Lloyd. And this question is, sir, how wise or bad decision would it be to pursue MBA post LLB? As I don't really want to go for a traditional law practice. If a good idea, what all opportunities do I stand as a lawyer with MBA?
It all depends upon what you want to do in your life. There is no thumb rule behind whether a LLB student should do an MBA immediately after the college or after some years. So whenever we are doing any professional course, there is an objective behind it. I mean, I'm sure gone are the days when LLB or law was a subject of. It's like you don't know anything. You pursue law. Gone are the days. Now law is a subject of choice. Recently, I came across an interaction with one of my colleagues. Her daughter she was in the 10th grade. She wanted to understand what all things she can do to pursue law. Imagine in 10th grade, a student want to pursue law. So that's how the legal industry and the inclination toward it is changing. People are picking it up for as a choice. Now for you, if you are doing your LLB, you have to identify that, does this interest you? Do you really want to do the regular practice or not? Does it excite you? I mean, I'm sure you must have done the internships, and does that excite you in terms of applying the legal knowledge? If it does not, then there are many more options along with LLB. MBA is also another choice. where you can apply your management, apply your legal knowledge as well as management, and work in any corporate as well. So there are definitely scopes for it. I don't want to discourage you from doing an MBA, but at the same time, you have to understand the pros and cons. Where will the MBA take you, which LLB cannot take you? Expose yourself to the opportunities at hand. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So there are a lot of other questions. So if we start going, it will really gonna take all.
No,
the...
I really love answering all the questions. I would suggest that Sahil, if you can just message in the chat window itself, publish the link where we have hosted on Unalloyed, and I would request you to post all your questions there, and I will try to answer each one of you personally. And before we close on, I would as I promised, I would like to tell you that we are rolling out with 3 committees. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for registering with us and showing your interest in what we are doing. We are rolling out with 3 committees. So at the in the student discovery platform, we are rolling out with editorial committee, with the reporter committee, and social media committee. As the name suggests, the objectives of each of these committees, as editorial committee, will be related to writing research papers, articles, and blogs and stuff. With regard to reporter committee, you guys will stand a chance to publish legal news and your thoughts about it. And in social media committee, you will be given a chance to get into networking and part of Lloyd's drive of discovery, get a taste of it. While we strongly recommend, we will be shortly sharing the process of participating in all these activities and the steps to do so for all the subscribed members. Those who have not subscribed with us, please do so. I would strongly suggest that pick up one area of interest for you and put in all your zeal there. So while you may like to participate in all three of them, which you can always do, but at the same time, I would strongly recommend that pick one that most interests you, spend some time doing that activity, and then possibly you can switch it later. So tune in, stay tuned in the Telegram channel, and Sahil and the team will be sharing with you the details of these committees, what are the key responsibilities that are expected out of you, and what are the steps, what are the processes, what is the process to join this. That's all I have for the evening. You guys were a lovely audience, and thank you for such a good participation. Thank you so much, Sahil, for moderating. Thank you, Purnima.
Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invite, even in your busiest schedule. I know you have been busy, and thank you so much for such a motivation session for all the law students. And thank you so much, guys, for attending the session. And for any of your further queries, you have the link, and you can post all your queries in the discuss section in the article. And Himanshu sir will be most happy to answer all your queries personally. Also, the results for the previous campaign we have extended to you. So that will be announced on the Telegram channel. So stay tuned, and all the very best, guys. All the very best. Thank you so much.